Hey everybody, this is Rob, formerly known as Jim.
And Jeremy.
And we are on show number 44. Today we're talking about Def Leppard, a documentary we just watched, all about Def Leppard. But before we get to our main topic, we're going to start with some albums that are turning 50, which we like to do. And this is from June 1973. We have The Smoker You Drink, The Player You Get, Joe Walsh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is his second studio album, and it was released, of course, in 1973 by Dunhill Records, and was also released in Germany. Proved to be his commercial breakthrough, largely on the strength of the top 40 hit single Rocky Mountain Way. Mm-hmm. Which helped propel the album into the top 10. And the album is credited only to Joe Walsh, even though he utilized 3 members from a band called Barnstorm. After the success of this album, Joe continued to make albums as a solo artist, as we know. And the title is a play on words. The higher you get, the better you play. And it kind of reminds me of Aria Speedwagon. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Sort of like that. I don't know. We got Smokey Robinson from June 19th, 1973. And this is his debut solo album. And it was his first solo record after his departure from the Miracles. The album featured the single Sweet Harmony, which was his tribute to his former singing partners in the Miracles. And then I have a couple albums turning 40. We got June 1st, 1983. We got Speaking in Tongues by the Talking Heads. That's turning 40. It's their 5th studio album. After their split with producer Brian Eno and a short hiatus which allowed the individual members to pursue side projects, recording began in 1982. And it became the band's commercial breakthrough, produced the band's sole U.S. top 10 hit, Burning Down the House. We got Stevie Nicks' The Wild Heart. Came out June 10th, 1983. And this is her second solo album. And featured songs Stand Back and I Will Run to You with Tom Petty. Now this is, I think, the lesser known Tom Petty song.
Yeah. You must have seen me kind of turn my head like, which song is that? But
this was actually the second song that she did with Tom Petty. The first one was on her first solo album, which was Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Yeah, which everybody knows that one.
Yeah. Then we got, this is an album that I had owned, was Synchronicity by the Police.
Oh, it's a good album.
June 17th, 1983. It's the 5th and final studio album by the English rock band The Police. And it's the band's most successful release. You had Every Breath You Take, King of Pain, Wrapped Around Your Finger, and Synchronicity 2. Mm-hmm. At the 1984 Grammy Awards, the album was nominated for a total of 5 awards, including Album of the Year, and it won 3 of those. At the time of its release, and following the Police tour, the Police's popularity was at such a high level that they were arguably, according to the BBC and The Guardian, the biggest band in the world at the time.
It's one of those bands.
And then they broke up.
One of the bigger what-ifs in music.
Yeah.
I mean, they were phenomenal and just could not get along. They tried a reunion tour, 10, 15 years ago, and they couldn't even complete that.
Yeah. So they haven't recorded. That was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Be cool if, they could have patched things up.
Mind-blowing.
And now we're going to talk about some new albums. I have 2 that are out right now. And first one is a band called Boy Genius.
Okay.
It's called The Record. That came out March 31st. It's kind of a supergroup, but I call it a supergroup of moody girls. It's Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker, who I've listened to. I actually have a playlist, my Apple Music, called Mostly Moody Girl Albums. And it's that just, it's all the same tone, the same, it's moody, it's like Phoebe Bridgers, I always said, She could sing anything and it sounds depressing. She could sing Don't Worry, Be Happy. Don't worry, be happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my favorite song on the album is Not Strong Enough. And this song reminds me of, I don't know if you know, Jeremy, Every Day is Like Sunday by Morrissey.
Doesn't sound familiar, no.
Okay. But it reminds me of that song. And it's unique because it features all three of them, not at the same time. Phoebe starts out with the lyrics. They all sing the chorus, I think. And then Lucy sings the next verses.
Mm-hmm.
And then Julian sings towards the end of the song.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
And then we got, this is an album I sent to Jeremy. Ian Hunter, who was 83 years old.
Yeah.
He was in Mott the Hoople. And
he's still one of the young dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did All the Young Dudes, which was actually written by David Bowie.
Yep, I know.
And I think we talked about that before.
Yeah.
He wrote Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Okay.
And he wrote Cleveland Rocks.
All right.
But his voice has gotten... He didn't have the most angelic voice, you know. But his voice has gotten a little rough. And I kind of think he's somewhere between Keith Richards and Bob Dylan now.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay.
But this album is pretty good. It just came out. It came out April 21st. And we got a lot of guest stars on here. We got Joe Elliott, who we'll be talking about, from Def Leppard, Slash, Ringo Starr, Mike Campbell from The Heartbreakers, Johnny Depp, and Jeff Beck are on, I think they're on one song. Taylor Hawkins, the late Taylor Hawkins, Todd Rundgren, Duff McKagan, and the guitarist for Aerosmith, Brad, I think it's Whitford.
Whitford.
Yeah.
Yep.
So check that out, Ian Hunter. Defiance Part 1. So maybe there'll be a Part 2. Now we got some new album releases coming out in June. We got a person who I've liked for a while. His name is Ben Harper. He kind of reminds me of, believe it or not, Cat Stevens a little bit. He's got an album out June 2nd, Wide Open Light. We got a new Foo Fighters, believe it or not, album. But Here We Are. And I don't really know much about it, like who's playing drums, or maybe they have guest drummers.
Well, I think Taylor may have helped in some of the songs because they've been recording for a while, but
okay.
I'd have to look further into that myself.
Yeah. And then we got another band I've been following for a little while called Dreamwife. And this title, I like, Social Lubrication.
I'm going to play that song loud and maybe I'll find my dream wife.
Yeah. Yeah, they're it's three girls, kind of hard. Not like heavy metals, but just hard rock kind of.
Yeah. Cool.
And we got Kelly Clarkson, who I love. June 23rd, Chemistry. And there's a couple singles she put out. It's interesting because the songs start out very... Like Kelly Clarkson, I wouldn't say would do anything that's raw vocals, but you know she has a great voice. But it's very isolated in the beginning. And then the chorus, of course, has other singers with her. But I thought that was interesting. Both songs are kind of start out slow. You can hear her voice like really clear, and there's nothing else much going on other than her voice. So it's a little different than some of the stuff she's put out, you know, recently or in the past. And Jeremy, I know you're a big fan of this guy. I mean, who isn't? Michael Bolton. So he's got a new album called Magnet, Spark of Light. He's recorded over 20 studio albums in his career. And he returns to his songwriting roots with his first ever album of all original songs. And it's co-written by Michael and some of today's most successful writers, producers, and artists. So he didn't write the songs entirely.
Okay.
Check that out, Michael Bolton.
If my list is about 100 deep, that one will probably be at number 96 or 97.
Yeah.
We'll get it on there.
Okay, now we're going to talk about Def Leppard. I've liked Def Leppard, I'd say, since the early 80s, before Jeremy was born.
Yeah.
But we're going to tell you a little bit about Def Leppard first.
I've liked them since grade school, so...
Okay.
I found them pretty early.
So we're going to start with, we'll tell you the current members. We've got Joe Elliott, the singer. Rick Savage on bass. Rick Allen, drummer. Phil Collins, not Phil Collins, lead guitar. And Vivian Campbell, he's the guitarist. And he was a member of Dio in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Past members, we got the original drummer, Tony Kenning. He was fired in 1978.
By original, the very short-term drummer.
Yeah, before they... I think it was right when they were about to record their very first album.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know.
I think it was Bring on the Night. Or something
I don't even know if he was on the very first album. But
And, well, we're going to talk about the documentary. Because in the documentary, it shows him... He gets in a fight, it seems like right at the very beginning when they start recording.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he recorded any songs with them. Then we got Pete Willis. He was the guitarist. He was fired in 1982 and replaced by Phil Collins. And Steve Clark, he died in 1991, unfortunately, at the age of 30, only 30, from alcohol poisoning. Great guitarist. And he was on their albums up to Hysteria, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 91. Yeah, definitely. So they were formed in 1976 in Sheffield, city in South Yorkshire, England. They established themselves as part of the new wave of British heavy metal movement of the early 1980s. Their greatest commercial success came between the early 1980s and early 1990s. And their first album was 1980s On Through the Night.
Yeah.
So Jeremy and I just watched this documentary from 2001 called Hysteria. I think it's the Def Leppard story or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was great. I mean, we're talking it was done 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not a documentary. It's I think they call it a docudrama.
Yeah.
Where there's people playing the various real people in the band. It starts out with Rick Allen. He was in a car accident. And if you're not real familiar with Def Leppard, well, you probably noticed that the older photos, he has two arms. Mm-hmm. And the later photos, he has one arm.
Yep.
So it starts out with the car accident. And I don't know, this was made by VH1.
Yeah.
And it just seemed kind of like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, it was weird. It starts with a car accident, but then it goes back, 7 years or something?
Yeah, then we go back. And the movie doesn't cover, it only covers up to Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah, up to 1990, basically. Because they don't actually show Steve Clark passing away.
Yeah.
They just kind of talk about it, and then at the end of the documentary...
Yeah, they don't even go into... They kind of hint, he does have a drug and alcohol problem. He goes to the hospital. He's got liver disease going on.
Yep.
But they don't even... At the end, they show what they've been up to or what they are beyond the documentary.
Right.
And they just mention that Steve Clark died.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I saw it when it came out. I wouldn't say the guys that are playing them look exactly like them. Michael Anthony Hall. If you know him from... You could know him from Pretty in Pink. You can know him from Halloween. Jeremy just met him, I think, last year.
National Lampoon's Vacation, the original.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rusty.
Yeah.
And he's playing Mutt Lange, the producer.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, we talked about Mutt Lange and when we talked about Brian Johnson and AC/DC. It's funny because in the documentary, he's telling Joe Elliott to go a little higher with his voice.
Yeah.
And I think he did that with Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
And it was bringing on the
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak. Yep. Yeah. I mean, overall, I give the documentary I guess I give it a 5.
Yeah.
You know.
I enjoyed the story they were trying to tell. It just, I don't know, it wasn't very well done, like you said. I mean, they explained some of the stuff that was going on, but I think a lot of the music was straight from the studio recorded album, if not all of it.
Yeah.
I don't think they sang anything.
Yeah, they're not singing in it. They obviously got the rights to the songs to put in, which is incredible to do. So the band must have, given the go-ahead, or the record company.
Right. One of the things that stood out to me about the movie was when you're seeing them perform at the concerts, it felt like they were trying to use real concert footage of crowds and mix it into the movie, and it didn't mix well at all. Like the lighting was way off. It was just very weird.
But the documentary, I think the acting from the band members was okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't nothing award-winning.
Right.
But some of the other actors when Rick Allen's in the hospital, the doctor he only had a couple lines, but he looked like he was out of a horror movie, and he was thinking of something devious. I don't know, it was weird. The looks on his face. And the music, I think it was towards the end, it was almost at one point, it was almost like Disney music. It was like background music. They
had just performed Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah.
And they're, welcoming back Rick Allen after his surgery and only having one arm. And yeah, you hear just like this Lifetime soft, sentimental music over top of a cheering audience that never went away. Mm-hmm. But you also hear Joe Elliott talking perfectly clear with this cheering audience that never stops for him to talk.
Yeah.
It was
so the editing was bad.
Very weird blend.
I think it was I feel it was just a watered down documentary.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't find my quote from Joe Elliott, but I know he pretty much said it was a piece of shit.
Oh, wow.
Documentary. And it was a recent interview, because with the Elton John Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, he just feels that there could be a better documentary now done about the band.
Right.
And maybe past Hysteria, Adrenalize was a good album too.
Yeah.
We can get, more get actors that look a little bit more like them. So basically we weren't crazy about the documentary. If you guys haven't seen it and you're Def Leppard fans, I don't know if I'd even recommend watching it, but that's all there is right now. I think there was a Behind the Music. I don't think there's any other Def Leppard documentaries.
I know that Rock of Ages movie came out, and that was a way to showcase some of their music, but I don't think it told really a story about the band or anything.
Yeah. So back in 1983, I was really into Def Leppard, amongst other, bands. But it was one of those bands that was kind of a fun band to listen to. I don't think back then I thought of it as like a guilty pleasure band. It wasn't a band that if you said you like Def Leppard, people would be like, ooh, Def Leppard. Maybe some people would. I don't know. But I didn't really listen to a lot of, I didn't really like Poison, and I'm comparing other bands to them, but Motley Crue, I think I liked a couple of their songs. Mm-hmm. But Def Leppard was just interesting to me. And the sound, the drums were in your face, the guitar licks, the interesting lyrics. Mm-hmm. And there was a concert. I had tickets to a concert, 1983. And when Mike and I, who was Matt, when Matt and I talked about, we were talking about David Bowie and how I was in the hospital in 1983. And I might have talked about it before, but I had an eye accident, and I'm not going to go into detail, but it was right at the end of my junior year in high school. And I really couldn't go outside. I wasn't supposed to go out in the sun. I had like 5 or 6 stitches in my eye, and I had to wear a patch, but I had tickets to see Def Leppard.
You're a pirate.
Yeah. So I had tickets to see Def Leppard, and I was going with Matt to the concert, or I was supposed to, and the doctor advised me not to go because someone could elbow me in the eye. And Matt and I just talked about this the other day, and the guy would have had to been, I'm like Jeremy's, I'm probably like 5'8", around there.
Right.
You know, the guy would have had to be, I don't know, 6'5", or I don't know, to have an elbow in the vicinity of my eye. I mean, it wasn't we're not talking about a hardcore band where there's going to be slam dancing and all that. After talking to Matt the other day, he told me something I didn't know, is that he said there were like too many people there. It was outside. It was at the Allentown Fairgrounds. I actually have the date. It was Monday, June 27th, 1983. Said it was like 90-some degrees, but there were so many people that were packed in there. He said he was having trouble breathing. He thought he was going to pass out. So maybe it was a good idea that I didn't go, with all those people. But I just want to go down this list because this is interesting. This is 1983, and this is the set list I found. There's one song on here I'm surprised with. So we got songs, of course, up to Pyromania. Rock, Rock Till You Drop. That's what they started with. Rock Brigade, High and Dry, Another Hit and Run, Billy's Got a Gun, Mirror, Mirror, Foolin', Photograph, Rock of Ages, Bringing on the Heartbreak. And the instrumental, which I think is on High and Dry, is Switch 625 they played.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Phil Collins guitar solo.
Yes.
Let It Go. There's a Steve Clark guitar solo.
Mm-hmm.
And then song Wasted, Stage Fright. And they end it with Traveling Band by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yep.
I mean, maybe that's the song they were doing back then.
Maybe.
Like a cover. I didn't know they did any cover songs.
Yeah. That would have been a great show to be at.
So let's go into Jeremy and I have our top 10, unless you have something.
Yeah, I may have talked about this on the podcast before, but they released And There Will Be a Next Time live from Detroit, Michigan in 2017. I was at that show.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So I actually bought the album and DVD that came out just to see if I could see myself in the audience, which I couldn't, but that was a fun little tidbit. I've seen them 7 times now.
I haven't seen them, it would have been cool to say I saw them in 83.
Yeah. And that sounded like a great set list.
Yeah.
But they always put on a great show. I'd gladly go with you if they tour again. That's the last time I saw them, 2017, so it's been 6 years. I'm due.
So Jeremy and I came up with our top 10 Def Leppard songs, and we're going to see if we have any that, I'm sure we'll have ones that match. Now mine, I'm going to go from 10 to 1.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay. So what's your number 10?
Number 10 was Switch 625, an instrumental song, yes.
Okay. My number 10 is off their last album, This Guitar. I don't know why I like this song, but it's with Alison Krauss. So it's off of Diamond Star Halos. But it reminds me of the 70s, 80s rock duets, the ballads.
Uh-huh.
And it's not a love song per se, but I guess it's a love song to his guitar or something. Yeah.
Do you want my next one? That's not beer.
Yeah, we're drinking water today.
Doing a sober show.
Oh, one little off subject, but Jeremy and I met the one and only William Shatner today.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we had a fun-filled day.
92 years young.
Yeah.
My number 9, fittingly enough, is called 9 Lives. Came out in 2008. It's off of Songs from the Sparkle Lounge.
Okay.
And you may have heard that. I don't remember if baseball used it or the NFL used it, but one of those sports leagues played that song quite a bit, and I got hooked on it, and I ended up enjoying it myself.
My thing is that I know the earlier albums, especially when they came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know the middle albums, like the album you just mentioned. And I know the last album because I just honestly I didn't forget about them, but I just started getting back into them again.
Right.
So some of the albums in between, I don't really know the songs, so they obviously aren't on my list. So number 9, I have Kick from Diamond Star Halos.
Okay.
And it's about a guy who's in love with someone, but he feels like he needs to kick the habit. What's your number? What were 8?
Number 8, yeah. Women off of the Hysteria album.
Okay.
It gets a bit repetitive, but I just love I don't want to say uniqueness of the song, but it was different for them. So
okay.
It's one that always I played over and over again and enjoyed.
My number 8 is Too Late for Love off of Pyromania.
Yeah. That's my number 7.
Okay. Okay.
So, great song. I think that was one of the ones that that was Rock Till You Drop, I think. But
okay.
That's one of those high songs that he had to push to really kind of get those notes out of there for Too Late for Love.
And extend the notes. Too.
Yeah.
So my number 7 is Foolin'. I just love the build up to that chorus. I think Foolin' and Too Late for Love are kind of similar.
They are. Number 6, I have Rock Till You Drop off of the Pyromania album. Just that's a fun song to me. It's a hard rock, but it's, exactly what it says. Rock till you drop. Just have a good time and enjoy yourself.
What are we on, 6?
6, yeah.
I have Rock of Ages.
Okay.
Pyromania.
So funny story about that song. That didn't make my list, but I do enjoy the song. I was singing it at karaoke one time. This was years ago. And there's this younger set of girls that are sitting at a table. And it did that beginning, that whatever he says. Yeah. The Offspring also used that on one of their songs. Okay. And these girls got all excited that I was about to sing The Offspring. Oh. Yeah. And then it's, all right. All right. Yeah. And they went from, to, we don't even know this song. It was a very, very funny experience.
So I just learned the other day when I was researching some of this, is that I'm like, I'm going to look this up and see what it means. It doesn't mean anything.
Really?
I thought it was German or something. Mutt Lange was tired of them saying 1, 2, 3, 4. And he came up with this. And then they put it in this song.
Yeah, all right.
That's what he said instead of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Interesting.
But that's not him saying. We don't know who sang it in the beginning.
Right.
It could be Mutt Lange.
Okay.
I couldn't find that out.
Interesting. Number 5. Here's a unique song for you. Saturday Night, High and Dry, off of the High and Dry album. This was one of those, it's just it's like a raw sounding song. And that's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
It was something that, it wasn't all the high notes and all the, explosive drums and guitar. It was just a very simple, Saturday night, I'm high. I don't know, it was just different, and I love that song. Came in at number 5 for me.
Well, I think their first 2 albums were they weren't as in your face.
Right.
Like, they were pretty, I wouldn't say mellow, but they were toned down more than the other ones. My number 5 is Animal.
Good song.
I always remember the video. I just watched it recently again. But I remember seeing that video on MTV. It's at a circus. But I don't think I noticed, or maybe I did, but forgot. There's a guy riding a rhino in the video. Rhino.
That's fun.
I don't know if it had to be real, because it's, 1980, what was that, 1984, 85, Animal. That was on Hysteria. But
Hysteria,
they didn't have computer.
87, I think. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Well, Hysteria was after Pyromania.
Yes.
They didn't have computer generated stuff back then.
1987.
I never saw anyone ride a rhino before.
No, me either. That's a new one. Number 4, I have Foolin'. I know you touched on this, but I love the build-up in this song as well. It's just a very fun... Foolin', just a lot of, breathing to hit the notes and still be able to continue on throughout the song. Something that always impressed me about Joe Elliott was he gets very high.
Yeah.
Maybe not the highest singer in rock, but he's up there. And it always sounds so pristine throughout the songs. And I know a lot of that is, some studio work and stuff like that. But even when I've seen them live, he sounds very pristine.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of those things that always kind of stayed with me. And Foolin' definitely puts his vocals on demonstration.
Yeah, he still can sing pretty good. Because weren't they on tour with Motley Crue and maybe Poison?
That might have been the Tesla, Motley Crue, Poison.
And they were like the best out of, Motley Crue is just Vince Neil. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And now I just saw something where they have, I think it was an article, it might have been from last year, that he's lip syncing.
There was some kind of, I don't know if it was real or not, but supposedly there was a petition out there that they wanted Vince Neil to be removed from the band.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Nikki Sixx that was starting it or if it was a fan thing. But I don't know. I had heard that there's a petition out there to get Vince Neil out from behind doing vocals because they're not happy.
Well, maybe he's lip syncing now. But he definitely wasn't lip syncing before.
No.
Because he was just like, I don't know what, if you went on TikTok, you'd see all these videos of them trying to decipher what he was saying.
Right.
So where are we?
I said 4 was Foolin'. I don't know if you said your number 4.
Okay. Armageddon It.
Okay.
From Hysteria.
Yep.
I just like the irony of the Armageddon It, where he says, "Are you getting it? Armageddon It." I don't know. That song, I always like that song.
Fun one. Number 3, I have Bringing on the Heartbreak.
Okay.
This is one that I love. It starts off very simple, calm guitar. And then all of a sudden, you got Joe Elliott starting to get into the song. You got Rick Allen banging the drums, and everything just picks up.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're bringing on the heartbreak, but the adrenaline is flowing too.
So my number 3, I've always loved this song, Love Bites.
Okay, that's a good one.
I just love the hook in this song, where the build up to the chorus. But it just always got me where it says, "I don't want to touch you too much, baby, because making love to you might drive me crazy." I don't know, that part. And everybody was making love back then. Actually, the 70s, 80s, there's a lot of making love. But no, that, to be serious, it's got what I call a hook. That hook, that melody in there. And I even played it for my wife the other night. Because she's not really into Def Leppard, but she remembered that song. She's like, "Yeah, that is really good. It's still good."
Yep. Number 2, I have the song "Now" off of the album X.
Okay.
I remember this is one of the first times I was going to see them when a new album had come out, and I got it the first day it came out, and there were a couple of albums off the song that I considered for the list. Ultimately, they didn't make it. But this one I really enjoyed because it was just something different for them.
Okay.
It's a deeper sounding Joe Elliott. He's not, belting out the high notes. And I just loved the sound of the song as well as the lyrics.
Yeah, I don't know that song. Well, my number 2 is Bringing on the Heartbreak.
Yep.
Now, this was the first song that I think I ever heard from Def Leppard because Z95, that was our local radio station. They played that. I'm trying to remember if I had the High and Dry album before Pyromania, and I'm thinking I did. I'm thinking I went, and because I started buying albums back like in '76, so I know I probably went out and bought this album because I know most of the songs on this album, and I remember the cover and all that. I don't have the album anymore, but that was the first song, and I still love that song. But there is one song I love more than that one. So Bringing on the Heartbreak was my number 2.
Okay, my number 1, Rocket. Yeah.
Okay.
I love Rocket. It's one of my favorite songs. When they perform it live, it's a lot of fun because they typically build up to the song. They don't just jump right into it. It's a slow burn where it ultimately gets there.
Yeah.
But that's also off of the Hysteria album. So that's my number one.
Now, my number one, I know you're probably going to say is Overplayed.
Well, neither of us have listed like their two biggest hits yet, so that's interesting.
Okay, so the one song I don't have on my list and Jeremy doesn't, that I can't stand now is Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yes, I can't stand it.
And Jeremy was hinting at, and I knew it was probably that one.
Yep.
I was going to say it was like a condiment. Sugar's not a condiment, but I was going to say, is it sweet? Yeah, I was going to. I don't know. That song just, I don't feel it's for me or for guys for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a sexual song, but I think it's for the ladies.
Yeah.
And was the most overplayed. I think I still hear it sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
So my number one is Photograph.
I was going to take a guess that would be it.
Because I simply love Pyromania. Now, I played this. I was trying to think of what else I was listening to in 83. I think it would have been like U2. Maybe. I don't know if I got into U2 in 83.
AC/DC?
Yeah, AC/DC. But I'm trying to think of other. This was more. I think it was more harder than some of the other stuff. I'm just trying to think of other stuff I listened to that wasn't as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Not that this was like, heavy metal or anything. But like I said before, it always seemed fun. I love the guitar sounds in these songs and just the fun lyrics. It was a band like Pyromania. I'd put in the cassette and just like, if you're having a bad day, even still, just forget about things. And I can listen to, except Pour Some Sugar on Me. Was that on Pyromania? I think it was.
Yeah, that was Pyromania.
Yeah, that's one song that all the other songs, and also Hysteria. I love that album.
The interesting thing about Def Leppard, so you mentioned about them being hard, and, that was different kind of back in the time. They're one of those rare bands that at one time they were considered hard rock. Yeah. And they were considered metal. And they were considered glam. They were considered pop, punk, classic.
Yeah.
They're one of those rare bands because they've made it successfully now for what? 6 generations?
I thought you were going to say 6 decades.
6 decades. That's the word I'm looking for. I knew that was wrong as soon as I said it. 6 decades. The 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s?
No, I think it's 4 decades. 5. Well, from the 80s to now is 4. From like
80s,
83,
90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. So yeah, 4.5, give or take.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're one of those rare bands that, you didn't hear about them separating and getting back together or taking years off. Mm-hmm. Even when Rick Allen had his accident, they still put out music in a pretty consistent, timely manner.
I think a lot of songs, I think they've stuck around, or maybe, I don't think they're, like, over the last 20 years, I don't think people probably know who they are. That's the sad thing.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of little kids at the concerts.
Okay. I mean, I'm thinking, like I mentioned with Pour Some Sugar, I mean, like how I hear it. So maybe just hearing it in a TV show or a movie, it keeps them going, because they had a lot of hits, and that leads us into some stuff that you might not know about Def Leppard.
Nice.
6 things. Hopefully I have 6 here.
Hopefully. I got one for you that I bet you don't know. I know you dislike the song, so this is gonna maybe eat away at you.
Okay.
But one of my favorite songs by them that they cover is that song Rock On by David Essex.
I don't like that song.
I know you don't.
Rock on. Hey, kid.
Yep, that's the one.
I despise that song.
I know you do.
As much as Sailing. That never took me away. So number 1, the name, which we kind of saw in the documentary. Mm-hmm. Joe Elliott proposed the band adopt a new name. Forget what the name was.
Atomic something. Atomic Mass, maybe?
Yeah, Atomic Mass or something like that, yeah. He suggests they call themselves Def Leppard. Now, it says a name he came up with. It was him in the documentary. Okay. Yeah. This band was looking for a new singer and guitarist.
Right.
And
he said he played guitar.
Yeah, again, in the documentary, he could play guitar a little bit, but then he starts singing. I think he's at his house. Yeah, he's at his house. Mm-hmm. And the guys from the band are there. And once they hear him sing, they're like, well, we really need a singer too, you know? So that's why he became the singer, because they didn't think he was a great guitar player. So he came up with the name while writing reviews for imaginary rock bands in his English class. He was always dreaming about forming a band in school. He was creating song lists, band logos, and band names while his classmates were studying. So the drummer, Tony Kenning, suggested that they should alter the spelling of the name to Def, D-E-F, Leppard, instead of D-E-A-F and the proper spelling of leopard, in order to seem less punk rock. They seem to hate punk rock, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
According to this documentary. It also said that the name was a reference to the band Led Zeppelin. I don't know if that's true or not. But maybe that's how Joe came up with Def Leppard, off of kind of, I don't know, Led Zeppelin, Def Leppard, you know. Right?
Sure.
Right, I don't know. Number 2, we got Tony Kenning, original drummer, unexpectedly left the band in the beginning of 1978. Now, it says the mother of Rick Allen, Rick was 14 at the time, was the only one to actually respond to the ad placed by the band. Wait, this doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. Rick Allen we're talking about. Yeah. Okay, not even drinking. Okay, so the mother of Rick Allen, and Rick was 14 at the time, was the only one to respond to the ad placed by the band looking for their new drummer. And it was Leopard Loses Skins was the ad's headline. On his 15th birthday, November 1st, 1978, Rick Allen joined the band and eventually dropped out of school. That kind of worked out, except for losing the arm.
Yeah.
Got to make sacrifices, though, sometimes. Number 3, their first concert. It was in 1978 in a high school gymnasium in their hometown of Sheffield, England. It's said that only 6 people showed up. The band smuggled beer into the event by hiding it in the drum kit.
Nice.
Okay, number 4, new guitarist, Phil Collen, former guitarist of the glam rock band called Girl, was hired by the band in 1982 as a replacement of former guitarist Pete Willis. Pete Willis had to be released from the band because of his excessive alcohol and drug abuse. Okay, Pour Some Sugar on Me. It's one of Def Leppard's most famous songs. It said that Joe Elliott came up with the title for the song while he was sitting in his apartment in London. He asked producer Mutt Lange for some sugar. See, I don't think this is true, by the way. Only because, now I don't know in the documentary if everything's true in there or not. But the timing of this, because I knew this before we watched the documentary, it doesn't seem like they were in the same place at the same time. But I don't know when this song was first written either.
Right.
So anyway, he asked producer Mutt Lange for some sugar for his tea. Lange replied by asking whether Joe wanted 1 lump or 2. Sounds made up. Joe said, "I don't care, just pour some sugar on me." And the rest is history. So this story also varies according to different sources.
Okay.
That sounds a little made up.
Interesting.
1 lump or 2, because he says that in the song. And then they asked Joe about the title. He says, "It's not for me to say, it's for you to interpret. So who knows? Pour Some Sugar on Me is the metaphor for whatever sexual preference you enjoy." That's what Joe said.
Interesting.
Okay, and number 6, one of the most unique accomplishments of the band was achieved on October 23rd, 1995. They entered the Guinness Book of World Records by playing 3 45-minute shows on 3 different continents.
Oh, wow.
They were in Tangier, Morocco, London, and Vancouver, Canada. And they decided to do this to support the album, which was Greatest Hits, 80 to 95, I think it's called Vault. Not to be confused with Gene Simmons' fault. So those are 6 things you may or may not know about Def Leppard. And then lastly, I have some books to check out on the band, none of which I've read. But in case you need something to read this summer, we got Definitely, the official story of Def Leppard. This is, I don't know if this is, who this is by, this book, because it says by Leppard Def. I have a question mark after that. This came out, this is coming out June 13th.
Okay.
240 pages, $40. Offers fans the most personal and comprehensive record of Def Leppard's history to date. Definitely, the official story of Def Leppard is narrated by the band in their own words, illustrated with photography and memorabilia from the Def Leppard archives. So this sounds like it's something they put together.
Right.
I don't know why it says Leppard Def. Maybe they're just being funny.
Maybe.
Then we have this life book on Def Leppard. Their incredible 45-year journey. This came out in 2022. 80 pages.
Okay.
$13. This one-of-a-kind special edition tells the band's remarkable story through extraordinary photographs and sharp storytelling by superb rock music writer Alan Light. And I noticed on the cover it says, includes the story of Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah.
But we just told you that. Maybe there's a different story.
Maybe.
And then we have the book by Tony Kenning, the original drummer. My Time with Def Leppard and Other Bands. Came out May 14th, 2021. Now, Tony wasn't in the band that long. So how many pages do you think this book is?
20.
69 pages. It's $15. It's only $15. So he was a founding member, original drummer, explains the origins of the band from school kids to when he departed from the band. And it also details what happened as he parted company with Def Leppard and what he did afterwards. Then we have Adrenalized, Life, Def Leppard, and Beyond by Phil Collin.
Oh.
And this is one I would probably read.
I could say, that would jump out to me.
Yeah, and this is May 23rd, 2017. This came out 272 pages, $15. I'm getting these from Amazon, prices from Amazon. Might be able to go on eBay or something. I don't know. Revelatory, Redemptive, and Wild Juicy, that's from Rolling Stone, memoir from the lead guitarist of the legendary rock band Def Leppard. First ever book, I guess, written by one of its members, chronicling the band's extraordinary rise to superstardom and how they maintained it for 3 decades. Then I got 2 more. I Got Something to Say, Collections, Recollections, and Personal Reflections about Def Leppard. I have a hard time talking. From the creator of the Def Leppard fan site, The Lep Report.
Okay.
October 15th, 2021. 307 pages, $16. Book includes 37 chapters all about Def Leppard. Features in-depth write-ups on the band's studio albums and single releases, plus never-before-told personal stories and never-before-seen pictures.
Okay.
That's from 2021. This was the most interesting. This is the last book, and I'm not making this up. It's the Def Leppard cookbook. The complete cooking... I don't know how this person got away with putting Def Leppard on this, but I don't think they have anything to do with it.
Okay.
Because this is the title, The Complete Cooking 20 Recipes Def Leppard Will... 20 Recipes Def Leppard... See, the way it's worded, you will ever want to make paperback. Okay?
Okay.
By Elijah Evans, August 8th, 2021. 44 pages, $20. It says, are you curious about Def Leppard, which is an English rock band formed in 1977? Are you a real foodie who is into cooking and craving for fresh and creative recipes? If your answer is yes, Def Leppard Cookbook is definitely what you've been looking for. Yeah, I don't think it's endorsed by them.
Maybe it's the band's food selections.
Maybe this guy was a cook for them backstage.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, so I think that was all we had. So thanks for listening, everybody. And if you want to email us, it's nogoodmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and You'll hear us later. You've been listening to No Good Music. Today's interview was produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded via Zoom at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts.